Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show. Glad to have you with us. We're going to talk about UFC 225, Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker. We're going to get into some of the plays that we have, also our best bet, of course, and our overall feeling about the card, maybe some spots we may place some bets on our hero parlay that we talk about on Fridays. So we'll get into all that today, as well as we'll get into the fact that I have a new microphone. Let me know if it's actually sounding a little bit better. Had the other microphone, didn't seem like it was really working. Trying another one, bought another one. Let's see how it goes. So we'll take it from there. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. We are a UFC and gambling channel all in one spot. We talk about every card, and just to let the new subscribers know, because we have been growing at a very, very good rate, that I want to just, again, give the scheduling of what we do here on Fight Club and for all the members. Basically, every fight week, it will be a Wednesday or Thursday. The prediction show comes out. I release that, and that'll be Wednesday or Thursday of every fight week. And then on Friday, which is going to normally be the day of the weigh-in, if the fights are going to be on Saturday, so it's the day of the weigh-in. On Friday, we will release our Let's Chat video, and that video is specifically meant for conversations during the event on Saturday. So as the event's going off, we always have great conversations about bets we're placing, bets that we've won, bets that we've lost, bets that we're looking to place, and kind of where everybody is. So it's a great spot. If you guys have not yet got involved with the Let's Chat video, definitely get involved this coming weekend. And again, it will be posted Friday, and we will have conversations throughout the weekend in that video in the comment section. And then on Sunday, the day after every event, we get into our bet review, and that is going over the plays that we had. And then, of course, you guys let me know how you guys did as well in the comment section of the bet review show. So there you have it. That's how we basically run everything here at Fight Club. So subscribe if you have not yet done so. As well as I wanted to get into one other point here, because this is really the biggest show that we do here on the channel, is our prediction show. I wanted to thank all the subscribers that have subscribed, been interactive, the ones that are just giving great feedback, the ones that are just really getting involved, and that's what this channel is about. It is about my picks, it is about, me putting on the show here, but it's also really building a handicap community that is looking for an edge. Bunch of sports bettors that are looking to really handicap fights, find opportunities where there's going to be a spot to place our money, to make money, and have a conversation about it, and look to place money in those sections. So that's really what we're looking to do here, is find those opportunities. And I always give mine. These are my picks. This is where I've been making my money, but I want to hear about what you guys are doing as well. So that's how we get interactive here. And the more of you guys that are watching this and getting interactive is going to help this channel grow, is going to help more and more sports bettors come to this channel and grow this community. So definitely spread the word and get involved if you've not yet done so. So now we are going to get into our best bet play. Now, first things first here, I want to go over is the first fact is some of the plays here, the ones that we wanted to get into. The one that I was really looking at, really diving into first was the main event. It was Romero versus Whittaker. And the more I looked into this fight, let me get into this first before I get into the best bet, and just an overall feeling on some of the fights. I mean, this right here, Yoel Romero versus Whittaker, to me, is such a tough fight to handicap. I didn't see something one way or the other. Didn't really see such a big side to go one way or the other. I mean, Yoel Romero is now a plus 198. I mean, that is just, I think that's great value on him, but I don't know how great I feel about him going against Whittaker. I mean, Whittaker has been just, really just steamrolling through this division, beating some of the best guys in the division, and even in the fact on the heels of this last fight that they had, you look at that last fight and you could go many different ways with how you're feeling about it. I mean, now that, Romero is now really training very closely with John Jones on how to really gauge his stamina and exerting his energy, I think that's going to be a big change for him in this fight. I think that's really going to be a big change for him in this fight. But then you've got Whittaker, who, blew his leg out in basically the first interaction, and then was able to go 24 minutes with a blown out leg, still able to push off Romero's takedowns and still able to strike well. So now he's coming into this at 100%. What does that mean now? And, I couldn't really wrap my hands around where I wanted to go here. I probably will have one of these guys in my hero parlay, which we'll talk about on Friday, but I couldn't as a best bet or a straight bet. And again, for me, it's not about trying to bet a bunch of fights. For me, it's really looking for 2 to 4 fights per card to place, whether it's, 2-3 units on my favorite play to 1 unit to maybe a little bit less than 1 unit on some of the other plays, and really looking to make my money there. And that's really how, for myself, many people do it differently, and there's many other people within the comment section that do it differently. There's many ways to bet, that's for sure. There's definitely many ways to bet. But for me, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to find spots where I can make some money, and as well as not overexert myself and overexpose myself to other fights when I feel really good about certain fights. We look at that right now, our best bet, we're 18-8. Plus 14.3 units for the year, so we're doing well there. And if you look back and you ask any handicapper that knows, if you're a 55 to 60% winner, you're doing phenomenal. I mean, you are astronomically doing phenomenal when you're talking about those kind of numbers and that winning percentage. Right now in this, we're about the 80%, the 70% range, and I would love to, by the end of this year, best bet to be around that 70 to 80% range. I'd really love to be able to do that. It's an enormous feat, but I'd love to be able to try to get those wins and keep pushing this forward. So for me, this Romero fight was just a no-go for me. Love to watch this fight, cannot wait to watch this fight, but I will probably not have a straight bet on it. As well as even with a pick'em fight, when you're talking about the co-main event, it's basically a pick'em. RDA versus Covington. I see Covington winning this. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like he's going to be the bigger guy. I feel like his wrestling is going to be too much. Really looking at just his striking is the only part that I don't like so much about it, where I think RDA could pick him apart standing. But the size difference, I think, could be a difference maker. And I just, again, could not wrap my hands around this fight being such a solid place to place money. I like Covington. I think if I had to just, kind of get a free bet and say, where'd you place your money on here, I would go Covington. But again, to me, I don't see it as a straight bet for me in this card. Looking forward for Anderson versus Holm. I think that's another great fight. But the first one we will talk about, which is the best bet play, is going to be in the fight between Alistair Overeem and Curtis Blades. So this fight here, to me, when I'm looking at this fight, I was diving into it, trying to find, where is the spot where we think that the other fighter can win. And the more I'm diving into it, and the more I'm looking into it, I really started to feel really good about the over-under in this fight. And I just kept going on and kept going on and kept going. And I said, you know what? This fight, to me, it seems like the over-under is where I should place my money. Now, if you look at these guys as a whole of what they've done in their career, I mean, obviously Overeem in his heyday, he was a killer. He was knocking people out. He was doing, he's been knocked out a bunch of times early in fights against heavy-handed fighters. This fight he's not fighting a heavy-handed fighter. He's not fighting a guy that's going to sit there and just scrap and bang and stand in front of him. So if you look at Overeem in his last 7 fights, 2 of them have ended in the first round. And if you look at that, it was Ngannou that just happened, which was, Ngannou, literally that was just, it was ridiculous. It was the punch heard around the world, and that was a fight that ended early. Overeem loses that fight. Then Overeem fought Stipe Miocic in 2016, and he lost in the first round. The rest of those fights, of the 7 of his last 7, have gone second round or further in his fights. Now, you look at that, and you already got to pick apart the fact that the 2 guys that he lost to are enormous, has enormous power, just enormous power that they have. So that's something. There's something to be said about that. And now you look at the other side, and you look at Curtis Blades' side. Now, Curtis on this side, he has, he's 9-1. Out of his last 7 fights, one of them was actually in another organization. So, but still, in his last 7 fights, None of them have ended in the first round. Not one has ended in the first round. And you keep looking. I mean, he's recently, most notably, he's beat Mark Hunt. Pretty much just kept throwing Mark Hunt to the ground. Pretty much out wrestled him for 3 rounds. Could not get the finish, but was able to get the victory in a decisive decision victory. And then you've got Oleinik. He beat Oleinik. There was a doctor stoppage in the second round. That fight ends in the second round. So to me, it's screaming to me a over. The line right now is 1.5, and it's minus 145. I think that's actually a great price. But to me, you're not going to see Curtis Blades here. You're not going to see him throwing bombs. And that's not what he does. And he's not what he's looking to do. He's going to want to really get in close. He's going to want to make sure that there's no space between him and Overeem, especially Overeem, who's going to be far superior when it comes to striking. I don't really see where where something catastrophic could happen in that first round. I think Overeem, coming off of such a brutal knockout, will not be as looking for that knockout. I think he'll be a little bit more tentative, and I think that obviously knowing that he has to worry about the takedowns from Blades is going to be something else that he's going to have to look at. So there's a lot of pieces here that are really pushing you more and more towards the fact that this is going to go over. This feels more of an over. I mean, a 1-rounder in a heavyweight division is very possible at any point, but I don't see these guys where Overeem is in his career, what Curtis Blades does over his entire career, and what he's good at. If he brings Overeem to the ground, I mean, Overeem can get up. I don't think that he's definitely not incapable of doing that. But that could ride out a whole round just by doing something like that. Just a takedown or two could ride out the whole round. I don't see Blades as a finisher, and he hasn't been a finisher in his whole career. I don't know. In this fight, I wasn't sure who would win, but the more I dived into it, the more and more it just seemed to me that Overeem has lost in the first round to some guys that were pure knockout punchers, and he's not facing that. So in this fight, to me here is my best bet play. Best bet, again, is 18 wins, 8 losses, plus 14.3 units. We're going to do 3 units, which is one of my bigger plays that I've done here. 3 units we're going to do on the over of 1.5, and it's at minus 145. I feel good about this play. I really feel like this is a great spot, that it's just too low. I think this should definitely be a 2.5. And 1.5 getting a full round. And even when I was looking at it and I started to say, wow, this fight's got decision written all over it. To me, it just has a decision written all over it. And the more that I saw it, I said, wow, this is a 1.5. I was thinking it was going to be a 2.5, and it being a 1.5 rounds just to me seems like it's way too low for what these guys have done, their body of work over the recent period, and again over basically Blades' entire career. He hasn't finished anybody in the first round. So to me, it's 3 units on the over 1.5 rounds at minus 145. That is the best bet play. Let me know what you guys think. You agree, disagree? I have not done too many of these over-unders for best bet play, but this one to me was screaming it. It felt like the right play to make. That's where I'm going to be placing my money. And then the other play, we're going to be having is Tai Tuivasa and Andre Arlovski. So Arlovski versus Tuivasa. I think Tuivasa and Arlovski, I think this is actually going to be an exciting fight. It's the second one right after. Second one on the pay-per-view card right after CM Punk, which is another one. Very interesting fight there. CM Punk is like plus 180 against a guy that's Mike Jackson, who's both of them lost to Mickey Gall, but Mike Jackson is also like an MMA photographer. So I mean, CM Punk could pull out that victory there, but again, it's a complete stay away from me also. So we're going to talk about Tuivasa versus Arlovski. And this to me, now going back between these guys, now let's take a quick look at Arlovski. This guy, I honestly, up until Junior Albini, I had been betting against Arlovski for 4 straight fights it was. And I actually had Albini winning that fight. I bet him a 1-unit play. Didn't win that, but it was Stipe, Overeem, Josh Barnett, and Francis Ngannou, which I had actually placed a lot on. Francis Ngannou beating him, and Tybura. So you've got, he was just getting pounded, brutally knocked out. Out of his last 7 fights, he's 2-5. And out of those 5 losses, 4 of them were by stoppage. So really a rough track record for him, a longtime veteran, a legend in the sport. So he beats Junior Albini in kind of an ugly decision victory. Very ugly, kind of wrestled him. It was a very ugly fight. And the same thing with the Stephen Struve fight, which was his most recent fight that he won. And that fight to me was one I did watch. I watched the whole fight last night. I always like to go back and watch these. And that fight to me was the same kind of thing that he did with Albini. He got in close. Stephen Struve is not very good, especially for his size. I don't know how somebody that big can be that bad at MMA. Some of you may hate that, me saying that, but I'm not really sure. That guy's a monster. But Orlovsky was able to kind of ragdoll him to the ground a bunch of times and was just really able to dictate everything that Stephen Struve was doing, and was able to get the decision victory there. This fight here against Tuivasa, I think, is a lot different. The guys that Orlovsky has lost to have been big power punchers, and that's where his chin has been exposed. He wasn't really being hit with tough shots against Albini. He wasn't getting really hit with tough shots against Struve. He had them on the ground. He had them in the clinch. They just weren't really able to do much. So to me, Tuivasa, who has a lot of power, he's 2-0 in the UFC, 9-0 in his career, but he has got that power, and he's going to have probably around a 20 to 25 pound advantage also on Orlovsky. I think Tuivasa can steamroll this fight. I think he can put him away early if possible. He just needs to land 1 or 2, and that's going to be it. I think Orlovsky doesn't have much in the tank at this point. He squeaked out 2 victories and 2 pretty much ugly victories. So I don't think this is going to the ground. I don't think that Orlovsky is going to be able to really dictate any body movement when it comes to such a big guy like Tuivasa. Tuivasa right now is at -250, a little bit higher than where I'd like to go, but this is going to be something where I feel is going to be a victory. Going to put 1 unit on Tai Tuivasa to get the victory to win the fight against Orlovsky. Those are my 2 plays that I have. So it's going to be a 3-unit play on the over. That's the best bet play. 3 units on the over. Orlovsky. Mixing them up. Alistair Overeem versus Curtis Blades. It's going to be 3 units on the over, 1.5 at -145. And then the 1-unit play is Tuivasa to beat Orlovsky, and that's -250. Those are my 2 plays for UFC 225. Let me know what you guys have, where you're betting, where you're placing your money, what you guys think of the best bet play this time around. I really like this over. So let me know what you guys think. If you're not yet done so, subscribe to this channel, get involved with Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.